Hi, I'm Stuart from the Norfolk Honey Company and welcome to another Beekeeping Basics. This channel is all about helping beekeepers improve their beekeeping. If you're new to beekeeping, we're hoping that we can help you get started in a positive way and not get tripped up by some of the mistakes that certainly we've made in the past. And if you're a more experienced beekeeper, then hopefully we can share some ideas, tips and techniques with you also. And it's about growing a community of beekeepers that are also happy to help each other. And with that in mind, we've also got a Facebook group that we're building every day, and more people are signing up to the Facebook group. It's called Stuart's Beekeeping Basics. It's a closed group, but if you pop across to Facebook and just tick the box, we'll sign you up, and there's lots of people in the group that are willing to offer a lot of help and advice to any new beekeepers. So please do consider popping along and joining us there. The channel is building every day and we're producing lots more videos as we go, and you can help support the channel from as little as £1 or $1 via our Patreon page. That's www.patreon.com/Norfolk Honey, and I'll leave the details to that page down in the description below, along with the links to Northern Bee books and the book that we're going to review today. Before I get into the review of the book, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the comments section below that you'll find beneath all of the YouTube videos. I receive an email when somebody leaves a comment, but just recently some of those comments seem to have just disappeared and I'm not picking up all of the comments. So if you have recently left a comment and I haven't responded to it, then please do go to the top of the comments section and leave a fresh comment right at the top of the page, and that way it seems to stick and I can then respond to the comments. I do promise to respond to all of the comments, and I hope that those of you that have commented have picked up on the fact that you're getting replies to all of your questions and all of your comments. Please do keep the comments coming. I really appreciate it, and it shows that we've got a growing supporting group who are willing and able to help each other. So thanks again for that. So today's book review is all about a book called The Principles of Bee Improvement by a guy called Jo Widdicombe. So this is the book, and I'll leave details down in the description below. Hopefully the lights aren't bouncing off the front cover too badly for you. So it's published and supplied by Northern Bee Books, and I'm very grateful to them for supplying me the book. And it's available from their website, and I understand that they do ship worldwide. The current price is around £13, and it's a really good book consisting of about 80 pages, and it goes through a whole range of different topics related to bee improvement. So Joe's been keeping bees for over 30 years, and he's been a member of BIBA, that's the Bee Improvement and Bee Breeders Association, for more than 25 years. He's served on their committee. He's also worked as a seasonal bee inspector for around 5 years, I guess down in Cornwall, where the book says that he's currently a bee farmer with over 100 colonies. So the guy knows what he's talking about, and the book contains some really fantastic information. Unsurprisingly for an ex-seasonal bee inspector, the book actually starts with a biosecurity warning. What Joe's basically saying is that when you get involved in a bee breeding program, you're likely to be moving lots of frames around, lots of bees around, and I guess the hope is that more than one beekeeper will get involved in that bee improvement program. And if you're then moving frames and bees from a multitude of different apiaries and different beekeepers, there is a very real risk that you could transfer some disease. And so what he suggests in the book is that you have your bees checked by a seasonal or regional bee inspector, and just make sure that the stock that you're using is fit and healthy for the purpose. The last thing you want to do is to embark on a bee breeding program and find that all you're doing is transferring some disease from apiary to apiary. So once we get past the biosecurity warning, Joe starts the book by asking the question, why bother with bee improvement? And I think most beekeepers who've ever experienced a colony that has turned quite nasty will understand only too well the need to improve that stock as quickly as possible. And there are various ways that you can improve your stock. And what Joe is talking about in his book is that you take on that task yourself rather than taking a shortcut and just buying queens in, that you invest a little bit of time and effort into improving your own stock and that of maybe the local beekeepers around you. And that way you have a more sustainable, managed process to your bee improvement rather than being in a position where you have to continually buy in new queens almost on a season by season basis. And of course, one of the main things that we want is sustainable bees. We want to be able to have bee colonies that are going through year after year in a very sustainable way. And that's really, really important, not just to you and I as beekeepers, but also to the wider public as well. But more than sustainability, we want to have bees that are fit for the local area. Again, in different climates, you'll find that different bees suit different conditions, and what suits me here locally in Norfolk in the UK is not necessarily going to be great for somebody who's in southern Italy or in southern United States. So you need to think about the local bees that you have in your area and what best suits your local conditions. But also for me, I'm looking for things like the ability to overwinter well, so that they come through into the spring nice and strong, that they're calm bees, as I've already said, that they're hygienic, and maybe that will help with any diseases and pests that they might have, particularly the varroa mite. But also I want my bees to be good honey producers because I want to have a crop of honey off them. So there's lots of reasons as to why you might want to improve your bees. And Jo goes through that in the book in a very easily understood manner. Also in the book, Jo talks about the consequences of buying in queens. And as I mentioned, you could simply just place an order and buy in some new queens. But Jo talks about what is likely to happen over a period of time. And it makes real sense to me. The fact that if I were to buy in, let's say, an Italian queen and put her into one of my colonies, ultimately we're going to have offspring from that particular queen, but the offspring are going to fly off and mate with lots of local drones. And so that purity of race is suddenly diminished. And as a result of that, you might well get traits that set you back to stage one again, where you might have angry bees or bees that can't overwinter terribly well. And Jo goes into the process of explaining that incredibly well, and I think that's one of the most important things inside this book, that he talks about why you should try breeding your own bees from your own stock and potentially with the help of your local neighbour beekeepers. So the book is split into three parts, three sections. The first is the theory of bee improvement. And then the main section of the book is part 2, and this goes into the practical aspects of bee improvement. And this is where the real substance of the book kicks in. So once we've decided how to improve our bees by producing our own queens, Jo then goes through the process of assessing your colonies, because you need a starting point. And again, in the book, Jo explains the kind of traits that you might look for in your own bees and how you would then grade them. And the book has lots of photographs and diagrams in it as well, so it's not just a textbook. There's lots of great photos in there that can distract you from the text every now and again. Within that section, Jo also talks about identifying the native species in your local area, and for a lot of us that's just not possible. Here in Norfolk we have an awful lot of what I'd call mongrel bees that have been crossed so many times it's difficult really to see. And if you've seen the videos that I produced on bee morphometry, and we took a look at just how pure a race my bees are to Apis mellifera mellifera, we discovered that actually, whilst we had some indications, they were a long way off of being anywhere near Apis mellifera mellifera throughout the colony. So for me, it's really a case of producing the best bees that I can for my local area. And I think this book is going to help me understand that process more thoroughly than I already do. One of the really nice things about the book is that there's a section on queen rearing methods. As I said at the beginning, the book is only 80 pages long, but Jo goes through some of the basic processes of producing queens, such as the Miller method. But Jo also talks about grafting as well. And again, the book has lots of photographs and diagrams of the various techniques that you might need. He also talks about making up nukes and also the small queen mini nukes that people use for mating purposes as well. In the book, Jo talks about the importance of drones, and that for me is one of the most significant pieces within the book. He talks about drone flooding, so flooding the local area with your drones, with the drones that you want to mate with your virgin queens, and thereby securing the best possible chances of your virgin queens acquiring the traits through the local drones into their newly established colonies. And as with all queen rearing, it really is all about the drones. If you can get the drones right in your colonies, then you should be able to then go on to improve your stocks really well. Jo provides a really useful appendix at the back of the book, which is a timetable for queen rearing using a Genta or a Nicot system. And as I said earlier, it's a really well presented book. It's a straightforward read, and it's got plenty of photographs and diagrams in to keep everybody happy. It's a great book for new beekeepers thinking about improving their stocks, but it's also really useful for the more experienced beekeeper that just wants a refresher, or maybe wants to take a look at the Bee Improvement and Bee Breeders Association methods of improving bee stocks as well. It might not be that you're looking to get back to a native strain, but that you just want to improve your bees to the best bees that you can possibly have, similar to the way that I'm trying to produce my bees. In that case, I can thoroughly recommend this book to you. I think it's a really good read, and I'm sure you'll find something useful in it that perhaps you'd either not seen or had forgotten about. My thanks again to Northern Bee Books for supplying Jo's book to me to review. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please do hit that subscribe button. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below if you have a bee improvement group in your local area, or that you're thinking of improving your own bee stocks and looking for some help and advice with that. Don't forget the Facebook group. It'd be great to have you along to our ever-growing community. If you're new to beekeeping, it's a great place to ask some questions. Everybody's very, very helpful. And if you're a more experienced beekeeper, it would be great to have you in the group to help answer some of those questions for all of the new beekeepers that we've got there. It's a really friendly environment where you can ask the most basic of questions, and somebody in there will give you a very helpful answer. So that's it for now. I'm hoping that the weather is going to warm up so that we can get out onto the bees a little bit more regularly. We have had some colonies throwing queen cells just recently, so it's really important that we try and get out and see the bees as often as we possibly can. And if you're wondering what the warning is all about, I may start talking about beekeeping. Thanks for watching.